Hi mathematicians, Caitlin Henderson here with another video. This time it's the Unit 7 Lesson 3 vocabulary video. For this video, we are going to be going over some of the vocabulary words associated with area. Specifically, we're going to be talking about area of rectangles and triangles on a coordinate plane. So let's get started. First up, we have just what is area in general. Area is something that should be very familiar with you. We've taught it in almost all prior maths, and it's basically just the space between a two-dimensional shape. So I have a rectangle over here. My area is going to be all this space on the inside of this two-dimensional shape. Okay, dimensions, I've been saying dimensions a lot, but it's basically the measurements of, in this case, we're going to talk specifically in shape. We are working in two dimensions, so you're going to have kind of two directions in which you are going to be measuring. In this case, right, we've got vertical and horizontal. Sometimes it's a bit of a slant, but basically we're not working in three dimensions. So when we're working with rectangles, we're talking length and width. With triangles, we're talking about base and height or amplitude. With circles, right, we're talking about, we've got pi and all of these things, right? But these are the different dimensions that help us find the area. Now, just as a bit of a reminder, remember that a rectangle is a four-sided shape. Opposite sides are parallel and congruent, and all angles are 90 degrees. Something else that the unit is going to touch on is solving area with trapezoids. I'm not going to go over that in these videos, but just keep in mind that a trapezoid is a shape that has one pair of parallel sides. Okay, so let's move on to the next set of definitions here. Composite figure. We're going to use composite figures to find the area of triangles. Basically what it is a shape made up of multiple shapes. In 8th grade, you talk about composite figures where you're working with different types of shapes. In this case, we've got our rectangle and we've got a triangle. These two shapes come together and form a composite figure. So if you can break up a figure or a shape into multiple smaller shapes, then you have a composite figure. Something else we are going to use to solve for area is to circumscribe our shapes. Basically, that means we're going to draw a shape around a figure so that every single one of the vertices is touching. We most commonly do that within circles. So this is actually an oval here that I've drawn around this kind of rectangle, and you can see that each one of the vertices here are touching that circle. And I'll show examples when we're trying to solve for area of a triangle. We're going to circumscribe it in a rectangle, so you'll see that in the lesson, but just know that to circumscribe means to draw a shape around a figure. Keep in mind that going back to kind of our definition of right angles, and this is going to be kind of important in some aspects of solving for area. Perpendicular means right angle. So if we have two lines that make, or that two lines that create a perpendicular intersection, we're talking 90 degrees. And then something else that is going to get brought up is amplitude. Amplitude is just another name for the height of a triangle. So it's the distance between the base and a vertex. And we, like I said, we most use this when we're talking about height. So when we go in and we start talking about area of a triangle, you'll see me work with that as well. That is it for the vocabulary words for this lesson. Please reach out if you have any questions, and until next time.